I think there is something just kind of like actually retarded and frustrating about like the Walsh documentary What is a Woman, because he's so like either like acting in bad faith or so dense that he won't even grant them that distinction. He'll be just like, oh yeah, woman, yeah, we know what a woman is, right? Well, look, a woman in the Middle Ages and a woman in ancient Egypt and a woman in 21st century America, like, yes, they all have the same chromosome structure, but like their femininity is clearly being articulated in very different
Mm.
ways. And if we have a historical consciousness, then we can kind of look at that and examine it and say, like, what it meant to be a woman in medieval Europe is really different than what it means to be a woman in 21st century Nebraska. I mean, it's just such a kind of like, it's not that big of a deal to grant them that from my perspective. It's just like they're being like needlessly obstinate, and it's just very frustrating. I could not watch that whole documentary. I watched like 20 minutes of it, but that was the impression I got, and I just kind of turned it off because it's like, look, we can talk about this
Mm.
subject, but you have to like grant them something. Like they're not just, it's not all gobbledygook. The drag queen is telling you that he is a woman, but while doing that, he's also telling you that he's a man dressed up as a woman, and he's kind of like you're questioning the notion of an inner essence and an outer shell.
Mm.
What's superficial is as Oscar Wilde said, is his superficiality his depth? Like when he dresses up as a drag queen and performs, is he actually telling you that his inner essence is female? I do think that there's a quality to that with transgenderism where there is a kind of like it's kind of weird because I think Americans can't accept this because we're so bourgeois. Like if you noticed that transsexual woman who bared her breast at the White House, like she got denounced by Joe Biden. They're like, that bitch is banned.
Mm.
You can't do that. You
Did
know,
he really?
but yeah, yeah, she she
Oh wow.
she is banned from the White House. Uh, and so what it was is that that whole thing was kind of a bacchanal on some level.
Mm.
They're flying the flag. People are saying love is love. It's a middle class bacchanal. Like it's one without actual sex. Like the Dionysian force in the ancient world, if you read like Euripides and so on, like it's a dangerous force. Like you might get laid, but you also might be torn to pieces or die or it's like a danger that enters society, but a kind of intoxicating or alluring danger. And I think Americans are so middle class that we do engage in this like heterosexualization of homosexuals where we're like, okay, so you were born this way and you can now get married. So congratulations, Tim and Jerry. You guys can have a mortgage. It's like we, the whole like what makes homosexuality interesting, you could say, is that it is a threat to the system. It's like it's kind of something that damages heteronormity, which I think is also a concept,
Mm.
and a real thing. It's not just some like, oh, these big words that academics use. Like heteronormity. Yeah, we live in a heteronormative society where Cinderella marries a prince. I mean yes, that is promoted as an ideal, and homosexuality is like this dangerous Dionysian force that enters. But with Americans, we can't think in that way. So we turn everything into this like bourgeoisification. So we're like, oh, you're a transsexual. That means that you can, go to these bathrooms or enter the army and fight as a woman along, you can now have a mortgage too. You can get a job and get healthcare benefits as a female, blah, blah. We have this like bourgeois, just like thoroughly kind of sexless and boring bourgeois concept, and so we like neutralize the Dionysian force and turn it into something middle class. And so, at this point, like, now that we're post gay marriage, like, are gays really that threatening? Like, the gay guy at your office, like in the other cubicle, like, is he really like a follower of Dionysus, or like, like,
Hmm.
this Americanism like neutralizes these dangerous forces. It says I need to write an essay on this.